Yes, there's a question there.
A question for Julian. You mentioned about the 7 celestial balls shining in the heavens. Is that where the phrase seventh heaven came from?
Yes, absolutely, it is. Thank you. That's the sphere of Saturn, which is the last sphere before reaching God. And so the ancient Aristotelian cosmology was Earth at the center, which didn't move. And then there were 7, like Matryoshka dolls, they were all stacked together, 7 planets, which are the 7 days of the week also. So we have a movement of time through, we have, in English, we have the Sunday, the Monday, Moon Day, we have Saturn Day. And these are all linked as a movement of time and space, or recording time, hence almanacs. And the 7th heaven is the last celestial sphere before then getting closer to God. Dante talks about it in Book 3 of the Paradise. He takes the reader through the journey of the 7 heavens. And once going past the 7th heaven, then you enter the realm of the primum mobile, or the divine creator, which is God. And that is to be at one with the light of God. But the light is of extant from oneself, outside of oneself with God, is also the inner light of within, which is found on earth. So one connects to God through primum mobile. And to understand the movement of the planets through time is to get closer to God. Thank you.
Anything else from the panel?
I'll ask Ruth a daft question. So we won't be here for the 700th anniversary of the Hall, sadly, in 350 years' time. But will they be able to see what we're doing now? What happens to present activity and archiving it? Because one reads in a way that, you know, modern technology and digitalization is a much cheaper way of preserving records. But of course, will they survive for 350 years as paper did? So will they be able to see what we're doing, Ruth, in 350 years' time?
Well, that's a very, very good question. And I think if there are any other archivists out there, they will join me in a kind of collective inward groan and maybe a prayer to the 7th heaven or otherwise. We hope so. We're working on it. Digital preservation is something of a nightmare. So, and interestingly enough, people now tend to be reverting to what were considered quite outdated methods of preservation. So in fact, there's a trend now to move digital content onto magnetic tape. We're very lucky here to have David Cordery from Max Communications, who I'm a bit nervous now about saying too much because I'm afraid he's going to correct me. But yes, we are working on it. It's a work in progress. It's also probably one of the most expensive undertakings for our archive, and it is going to increase the cost of preservation considerably. I would say watch this space, but let's just hope that in 350 years' time, there will be something for people to watch. Yeah, but thank you for the question.
It is amazing to think the invitation that Margaret focused on, 1681, that scrap of paper, why that scrap of paper, but that scrap of paper has survived. So whatever happens, there is so much modelling and paperwork that has been retained from the whole Vision 350 project.
Yeah.
But what Ruth's talking about is capturing it for that 350 years, which is the slightly uncertain element. Certainly fine for the next 50 years, I'm sure, in paper. We'll have to wait to see.
Giles.
Oh, have we a question from the back?
Just to, if I may, I'm Giles the clerk, just to reassure you that all the court orders are written down and kept in the archives.
Yes, they are beautifully written down by a professional calligrapher. So we have a complete continuous run of court books. So that won't be going anywhere.
Yeah, very good point. Anything else from anybody? Well, I think I would just like to close the evening by going back to each of our panel members, just to ask if they've got any closing reflections or points they would like to make from what they've heard from their fellow panel members, or any closing comment. Is there anything? Ruth?
Well, actually, for me, putting the exhibition together has been so much fun. I was like a kid in a candy store. I was really just actually being able to spend the time looking through all the records again. Sadly, as an archivist, you get not as much time doing that as you'd like. So thank you to everybody for giving me that opportunity. And thank you also for telling me so much about the material.
David.
Well, long may venison dinners continue. I think is the theme that comes to mind. But no, seriously, my closing point about the importance of the company archive and how everything that we've talked about tonight demonstrates that and illustrates that is a really important thing to hang on to. And I think the question about ongoing modern records management, digitally and otherwise, I would echo, I agree, is really important. But I know that you're on the case.
Paul?
Yeah, just reflecting on one interesting point, and that is that today we had 2 new freemen join the company from America. And if we go back a little bit further in the history of the way the company is organized and managed its premises, in 1611, there was, yes, you got another committee. And that was a smaller committee, and it was the committee that was tasked with looking at the Abergavenny Hall and arranging repairs, making it fit for purpose as the relatively new home of the stationers company. And if we look at the 4 people, there were only 4 people on that committee altogether. One, Humphrey Hooper, was an investor in the Virginia plantation. The second one, Richard Field, was the Stratford associate and first publisher of Shakespeare. The third one, George Swinnow, was investor in the Virginia plantation and a member of the Virginia Council in London. And Felix Kingston, the 4th and final member of that committee, was the official printer and publisher of the Virginia Company. So there is another connection between us, the hall, or at least the premises, and that part of the company that we're looking to expand into, a US connection.
Very interesting. Margaret?
No, I
Nothing to add.
nothing to add, Julian.
Thank you. Well, I think that maybe in the 21st century, if the company was, say, to start getting a little bit more involved as a creative publishing of almanacs again, but maybe to go in line with the digital revolution, I think that would be a very interesting thing. But what I really think is the education is really important, because classical education, and the reason almanacs were so popular was because a classical education, people were taught about what was called the trivium and the quadrivium, which were the 3 ways and the 4 ways. And these equated to the 7 visible planets. And a good education meant that you understood the measurement of life through the planets. And this is what created great depth of knowledge, great understanding about life, and made Britain a very great country. And if there was that to be, some form of that to be reintroduced through education, then I think we could really find something very interesting. It's the government, even Rishi Sunak announced today, he wants to look at how to get maths taught to people to the age of 18. Well, I would like to suggest in the advisory group for the government, maybe the Stationers Education Committee could approach that advisory group and say, well, can we look at the trivium and quadrivium as a modern 21st century return to the classroom to invigorate pupils' passions? Because the passion is when they know about themselves. And if they get to find something about themselves, that ignites the passion. And you would have the whole country, the school children of the country, wanting to learn maths to 18 and beyond, if they could learn some foundational astrology with it. There you have it, folks.
Well,
Thank you.
So thank you very much for sharing this hour and a half with us. We hope you've enjoyed our scamper through the 350 years of history. It was impossible to do it justice, so we had to be selective, and hence the panel discussion tonight. But you have a much more scientific set of images in the timeline and the link to the website. My thanks have to go again to our wonderful members, Andrew Dicker, Justin Hobson and Jim Vaughan, who have helped us create this wonderful record, the future of the archive. To Ruth for organising the exhibition. I know she said it was fun. It's a lot of hard work. But the expert committee also helped pull the evening and the timeline together. And although I wasn't thinking ahead another 350 years, but I did wonder in what way will future members look back on 2023 for the 400th anniversary. I have to say, I'm not sure how many of us in this room will be there. I certainly won't be. But how many will gather together to share their recollections of that September 1666 and the 1673 reopening of the hall, and what we did this evening in London to celebrate this wonderful hall and its anniversary. So thank you very much on that note of history. Please do enjoy the rest of your evening and the discussion, and remember to raise a glass to the hall. Thank you very much indeed.